Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be installing some new parts on the STI, but first let's get a cold start for the girls. Thermostatic oil sandwich plate. So as you guys can probably tell, we are installing the Mishimoto oil cooler on the STI. There she is. So this is the thermostat housing, and this will go onto the car first and prevent oil from going through the cooler until it reaches the proper operating temperature. And you got some brackets to mount. I got to figure out where I'm going to mount it. Some hardware. You got some fittings. These are AN fittings. And you got two stainless brake lines or oil lines and some heat shield. And of course you have the oil cooler itself, the core. And they threw in a Penguin Mishimoto air freshener. It's kind of cool, but I don't see any instructions, so it shouldn't be too difficult. We'll just go ahead and figure it out, mock everything up, get it tightened down, and we'll go from there. But these little quick latches, they're actual quick latch brand. Don't buy the cheap eBay, Amazon ones. You just mount them to your hood. This is a Sabon carbon fiber hood. Cut holes there, and a lot of people mount them over here somewhere on the side, and I didn't want that, so I mounted them here on the front. And the way I did it was I used these standoffs that have the same thread as the little ball, you know, this piece, and then just tighten it down with a locking nut and put a thread locker on there, so that way it actually can reach high enough to click. If you don't have that, these studs aren't long enough, and quick latch doesn't make them any longer for this size. So just thought I'd show you guys that. Let's get to working.
2 a.m. in the car playing my favorite song. Turn it up, windows down, sing along. The summer night night has just begun. The moon is bright, let's have some fun. Oh, this is everything with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking that I don't wanna go. Calling sick in the morning, baby, don't leave. They don't need to know we're out here wild and free. They say we're crazy, it's too much. And yeah, we're crazy, deep in love. Oh, this is everything with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking that I don't wanna go. This is everything with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking that I don't wanna go. This is everything with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking that I don't wanna go.
These clips are funny. If you pull them all the way out, they don't come out. You got to push them in a little bit. Let's get them loose and push it back in, and then they pop out. And the reason for that is when they're all the way out, you see it's flared right here, but when you push it in, it closes down a little bit. So just a little tip for you. Then I can take this thing off, set it to the side. And what else we got? Top's all done, sides are done. Now I got to take off these carbon fiber brake duct inlets, and then once I get that off, I got to get the bolts on the bottom, and we'll get the bumper taken right off. Virus Engineering front splitter, in case anybody's wondering. Might be kind of hard to see the logo underneath. And I made an earlier video showing you guys how I made these brake duct cooler vents. And basically I just took this carbon fiber piece and then, you know, drilled some holes in it so that I could mount this little backing plate so it lets air flow through there. So that's one. And two. All right, I think the bumper's ready to come off. We'll find out. Where's it stuck? I gotta take these 3 bolts out too. They go into this plastic piece right here. Oh, different size. An ambassador for Armor Shield. So if you guys haven't ceramic coated your car yet, you definitely need to do it. It takes some time to do the whole car. I was able to do the entire car front to back with less than 1 bottle. So if that tells you something, they usually have some sales where you can get 2 for a huge discount, and really high quality stuff. They come in these little nice bottles, so check them out. I really do not recommend stuff that I don't use, and I think it is the best thing to keep your car clean. So I actually just got the car retuned by Bren Tuning. I read online that the front mount intercooler did not require a tune, which technically it doesn't, but I noticed I was getting less boost and the car was not getting the power that I wanted. So I went ahead, did some pulls with the car, sent the maps over to Bren Tuning, and he got me all set up with pump gas and E85, and he's saying it's running up above 400 horsepower right now. I estimate by the butt dyno that it's about 420 at the wheels. It's fast. So after I get this installed, I'm going to take you guys for a little POV ride along and probably wash the car, get her all cleaned up. And anyway, hope you guys like the video. Huh. Looks like I forgot to tighten the intercooler down. Huh. The bolts were in there, but it wasn't tight. So boys and girls, make sure you double check your work. I ended up taking off the intercooler to put these on a few weeks ago, and apparently I forgot to tighten these down. My bad. This one's tight. You gotta give it 17 dugga-duggas just to make sure. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. And eventually I am going to get the T-bolt clamps to go on here. Oh, FedEx, bring in more car parts. 50 drum mag for my Glock. It's pretty awesome. Just looking at the brackets here. This one appears to go down here on this bottom one. And I'll have to tighten these down. Just gonna get them hand tight for right now. And this one will mount here. And hopefully our intercooler will fit. If not, I'm gonna end up moving it. Let's see, actually, I think it might go on this side. No, can't fit because all this other stuff is in the way. Well, that bracket looks like it's supposed to go there. I guess I'm gonna have to temporarily install it and see if it fits. And the other bracket attaches up here and I believe goes to this bolt or one of those bolts. Let's get it test fitted. It appears Mishimoto wants you to mount this, which would be no problem if you didn't have a front mount intercooler. So let's put the front mount on, see if it clears. I'm thinking it's gonna hit, but we'll see. Oh, and by the way, they put this little U-shaped thing. It's supposed to go behind this piece of metal here. So what I think I'm gonna do is reverse this bracket, flip it maybe. We'll see. And then I might have to trim this down, create a new hole a little bit lower to get it mounted up here. I'm gonna raise, hopefully the lines will fit, but I'm gonna raise the oil cooler to about here. And then that way it'll be flat, because right now it's hitting this part right here on the way down. And that's not gonna allow me to bolt up the intercooler without some spacers. And if I put spacers in here, it's gonna push the intercooler out too far and probably hit the bumper. It could cause fitment issues with the piping. So let's get to working. So the thermostat housing, you don't do like the WRX where you take the stock oil filter threads off. Don't do that. You just screw this one into the stock one and it sandwiches up in there. Then your filter will go back on here. So now we got to get these lines put on and run up to the front and create our own bracket for the oil cooler. Length, got this one lined up, and you can see that the front one closest to me is actually shorter, so that'll go to the closest end of the oil cooler, and obviously the other one will go to the furthest end, and that'll be the 90 degree that goes on the furthest end away from it. And what I'm planning on doing is running it up from under here and either through here or through here. I haven't decided, but it's probably going to be this top one because I got to get it mounted a little bit higher right here. I don't know if you can grab that. I just slid it in, down. So
on this side of the frame, or you want to be inside by the motor?
I think outside would be fine. And then it'll go up above the headlight so that the intercooler crash bar can mount back up. And then that'll go right here.
Really, I got like 3 inches.
Whoop.
3 inches short.
Okay. Well, we got some space to play with, so.
I hate end fittings.
Mm-hmm.
They're so precise. You can.
If I had some of those plastic tabs that you run through the core, you ever seen them? And then they connect on the back, you could mount it to the front of the intercooler. It'd just be sticking out a little bit.
Could.
But
Well, then you have your 2 L's like this, right?
yeah.
Then you push it through right there.
Yeah. I don't have those clips though. They probably got them at AutoZone, yeah.
There you go.
And this will be behind the bumper at the top, so I'm not worried about that as long as the intercooler itself isn't hitting, which it might, because the intercooler comes right up to underneath this, touching. So is it possible to put this behind here? Yeah, like that. That looks better.
What about that?
We just have to push it in. I think that'll fit.
So that changes everything.
This is where we're gonna mount it. We gotta go to AutoZone and get some of those zip tie things that run back through the intercooler, and that way we can mount this up. We're gonna put some foam behind the oil cooler so it's not rubbing metal to metal on the intercooler. And I am able to retain the factory, or the aftermarket rather, supports that hold this splitter up with the crash beam on it, or crash plate, skid plate. So off to AutoZone. We just went to AutoZone, picked up some of these little things that are going to run through the intercooler. We're not going to run them through the oil cooler. We're actually going to put brackets on here, and they'll run through the L bracket. And of course there's going to be some foam. Just make sure we don't have metal to metal contact vibrating and causing a hole over time. So got everything run the way we want it, and we're just bending the heat shield for the exhaust so that it doesn't rub a hole in the stainless line over time.
Yeah, see, it's nice and free now.
Yep.
It's not.
Plus you'll have the heat shield wrap around it as well.
Yeah. Be a lot nicer. Because it's that curve now, so if it does touch, it ain't gonna hurt it.
Yeah.
There's no sharp edge.
And that's how she looks on the front. Not fully mounted yet, but we're getting there.
The cooler?
Okay. Yeah, so we got the foam on the back side and foam on the bottom. And then we're gonna run those little zip tie things. We already made the holes where they're gonna go through, and then that'll bolt up and be secure. So what it is gonna do is it's gonna be resting on the front of the bumper with that foam.
Very
So,
low. Yeah, very
right
low.
there.
And just always pre-run them before you do it.
Yeah.
And be safe, because you don't want to damage it all.
Yeah. So the intercooler's upside down right now, so that's why they look like they're at the top, but they're actually at the bottom. So that's where it's gonna be mounted. I was looking at it going, why are we so high? I didn't realize it was upside down. What the underside looks like, you can see how the hoses are ran.
Dude, that looks so good.
And they come up there, and you saw how we did it when the bumper was off. And here is the final look. And I was telling Seth why, because it's a race car. I did have to put a piece of hose right inside there to prevent the hose line from rubbing over time and potentially getting a hole in it. But other than that, it turned out really good. Alright guys, so that's the video. I hope you guys liked it. The Mishimoto oil cooler is now installed and it is working as advertised. I just drove around. It is keeping the oil temps down about 20 degrees over what it was stock. And now that I have the IAG competition oil pan also on the bottom, that has fins, so it's also assisting with the cooling as well. So anyway, highly recommend it, and shout out to Smedia. He asked me to let him know when this video was out, so that's how I did it. Of course, there's a million different ways. Ideally, I think I would have rather put it on top of where the stock intercooler was, but I didn't have long enough custom hoses, so I just made this, made it work. So you guys have a good one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, you know, all that stuff. Thanks.